encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Brother. Where's that damn good coffee? I'll take care of that.
Damn good coffee and hot.
That's right. It's damn good coffee and hot. Oh, my goodness gracious. Good morning, folks. It is Pesach. Sorry. I can't help myself. It's Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Everybody in the world's birthday. I got more birthdays. I'm not going to go down the whole list. Just happy birthday to everyone on the planet, and that should cover it. Everybody, a lot of people in my life, born on April 5th for some reason. My friends list is full of people born on April 5th. Got godchildren, friends, everybody born on April 5th. Happy birthday, everybody. It's also Passover, so if you're a Jew, don't go out tonight. That's all I can tell you. Or get in the house by sundown. Paint something on your door with blood, and hide away. Yes, you've got to hide yourself away from the evil spirits that are coming for your firstborn on everybody's birthday. Anyway, we are expecting Andy Andrus to be joining us. I hope he didn't forget about it. But maybe I'll remind him in a few minutes. He generally doesn't forget. He's not like, let's say, Billy Wayne Davis, who is prone to forget or not show up. Or even Henry Phillips has done that a couple of times. But, and Sam Talent. Hey, are we noticing a pattern here? I do expect Andy to show up. Anyway, yesterday, I've been really good. Do I look really good? I mean, I've been really well behaved as far as not getting into arguments on social media until yesterday. Got into one with Billy Wayne Davis. Slight one, not like a real heated argument, but it was an argument nonetheless. Billy's position is that boomers are responsible for everything that's wrong with the world because we were in charge when things started to go bad. Well, in charge is funny. First of all, I don't think generations vote like land doesn't vote. You can and Billy's reply to that was that, well, generations are groups of people and people vote. Yeah, but so are states. But when you see a map of the United States of America and parts of it are red and part of it, that's not how it works. The blue chunks of land and red chunks of land voting. If that were the case, if land voted, we'd be Nazi Germany. According to the maps and the bright red that the United States votes, if land voted, we would be Nazi Germany or worse. Land doesn't vote, generations don't vote. Did my generation make a fucking lot of mistakes? Hell yes, they did. And so did every other generation since we crawled out of the fucking swamp. Keep this in mind, though. Because this idea of, well, y'all were in charge. In charge? We were fucking kids. Literally children when things started to head south. The United States of America had its most productive growth of the middle class in the 50s and 60s, late 40s, 50s, and 60s. I was 9 years old in 1969. So the idea that we were in charge, I was 10 years old in 1969. I turned 10 in 1960, in August of 1969. We were not in charge of anything. Anyway, so that's one argument I got into yesterday. And then the other one was about Kid Rock shooting beer. Now, the whole LGBTQ argument aside, the idiots protesting Bud Light are buying the beer in order to protest the beer so they can destroy the beer that they just bought. In other words, Kid Rock went out and bought a 30 pack so he could shoot it, paid retail for it, so he could shoot it as a way to say, I'm mad at Bud Light. And Bud Light said, ka-ching, thank you very much. Go back and buy another 30 pack now and go shoot that one. And then you see all these guys, Republicans, I'm sorry, this is what we're talking about. Sebastian Gorka goes to buy a Bud Light six pack, throws it in the garbage. This is his way of protesting. You are protesting something you are angry about by giving what you are protesting money to get nothing out of it. This is the mentality of the current Republican Party. And if you say, well, they're not us, they are. They're your leaders. They're your spokespeople. They are fucking the core of what you are. These are the people you align with. Fucking geniuses. And before Andy's here, I'm going to bring him in really quickly. Before I bring him in, I just want to talk about, because in the 60s, they were protesting Bob Dylan going electric. And the way they were protesting Bob Dylan going electric was by buying his tickets and not going to the show. Fucking geniuses. Fucking geniuses who listen, you want to protest me by giving me money. Please protest the fuck out of me all day long. But let's just bring Andy in. A man who needs no introduction whatsoever, so I'm not going to give him one, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Andrews. Oh, you're smoking, are you? In the
I was
morning?
gonna blow outdoors, but you caught me off
That's
guard.
fine. You can do whatever you want.
Well, I know it's just this room.
How are you?
I'm hot boxing my own space. I'm all right. I'm
You
Get-
look fucking great.
my lighting is proper.
Look, everybody should get cancer, so we end up looking better afterwards than we did before.
Well, it is good for weight loss. I mean, what's a gallbladder weigh? I lost that right off the top.
Wow. Well, that's not much, like a pound or something, right?
Really? That's good.
Yeah.
Every pound counts.
Well,
Till you're down to 15.
So, are you familiar with the beer shooting thing?
Yeah, I scroll the internet, like, I don't want to. It's the first thing in the morning. I'm already on to the. Did you see the bicycle accident?
Yeah,
the new one, but
Kid
yeah,
Rock,
Kid Rock.
Guy.
Kid Rock. Basically, it was an advertisement for his merch, as he starts the shot off with Kid Rock fishing tournament. So he's advertising a fishing tournament, and then he shoots. He probably killed more fish than he wounded beer. He blasted into the lake. So if that's a fish lake, then he's shooting fish. But what a fucking dipshit! I made fun of him. Was one of the first things out of the gate on the Man Show. We were having what's the proper way to say it? Incentive-based eugenics. So we'd go. It was the first day. I just went to go see my friend Doug, and they were taping this bit and using rubes at Walmart to come out and then say, "Hey, would you be willing to get a circumcised for prizes?" And one of the prizes I came up with was a weekend with the Nuge.
You mean castrated, not circumcised, right?
Or yeah, castrated
Yeah.
or whatever, just so you can't have kids, or take a pill, and you'll get tickets. And yeah, like we come up with white trash. What would white trash covet? And that's what I come up with, the new weekend with the Nuge. And that would have been in 2003 when he was way off the charts for being a douchebag.
What would white trash cover? That's a thought experiment that sounds like a fun party theme. Like everybody gets a pen and paper and we sit around.
Yeah, I forget. The Nuge is really the only one I can recall. It's just like a life supply of nacho cheese or shit like that. But yeah, fucking Nuge, man, he had a couple of cool songs back in the day. But oh, I'm thinking Nuge. Wow, man,
Yeah, yeah.
I submerged Kid Rock into Ted Nugent.
Well, they are kind of now.
Yeah, but Nuge was a little more accomplished. I mean,
Is
I don't
he?
know. Well, Nuge had a song I like anyway. Kid Rock was always
That's
annoying.
Fever, but
No,
Wang Tang Doodle,
the, fuck, man, it has to do with.
Wang Dang Sweet Poontang.
No, it ain't the. No, it's he's got one I really liked. I can't think of it. That's how memorable it was. Stranglehold.
Oh yeah.
Stranglehold's a good jam. You just hear that while you're driving or whatever. But I don't think there's anything of Kid Rock's. I like that sort of. No, fuck that. That one he did with Sheryl Crow was really annoying.
Picture.
But
Yeah,
it was
we used to play that back in the day.
And I can't think of anything else. I remember the midget.
Yeah, that, and then Pat Finnerty, who does a thing for musicians called "Why This Song Stinks."
Yeah.
Did a thing on the Sweet Home Alabama, whatever thing that all summer.
Oh, that one, right? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That one is just like, man, that's just like fucking paint by numbers,
Rip
It's
off
mostly,
of Warren Zevon and Sweet Home Alabama,
yeah,
and then plays it all out
it's
of
mostly those two other songs, and then just him in a pickup truck, beer drinking with some buddies, from going off to a football game or whatever. Fuck you, Kid Rock.
He
And
was born with a silver spoon in his mouth too.
he was a rich. Yeah, he's been rebelling against being privileged his whole life or whatever. He's just a fucking. Doesn't he always seem like he's just like a marketing guy could have come up with Kid Rock, counter marketing. Like, hey, no, well, how about this? We got this guy, and he's long hair, he's skinny, he does a little rapping, he's country roots, and he's fucking over the top pro America to a point where America's like, dude, I don't want to fucking, He's like a dude who he treats America like a dude would treat a chick that's ready to leave him.
I think people.
Don't I love you, America? Come on, bitch. Come on, bitch. And then smack. Come on, bitch. You know I love you, America.
That's pretty. I never thought of it that way.
America went in for said a little light choking, and then then last night got pretty rough, and Kid Rock's apologizing. Man, if I love you too much, America, that's maybe on me, but God damn it, you're beautiful, bitch, and I'll never do that again.
There's something about Michigan. I'm sorry, Michigan. I love you.
Yeah.
But there is something about that state that produces a lot of these redneck guitar players who are just QAnon, one step away from being QAnon people.
Remember when Mitt Romney went there campaigning and trying to display a little personality, and he says, I love Michigan. All your trees are all the right height.
I don't remember that. No.
Yeah, I remember stupid shit, and that was like
stupid thing to say.
Every tree is at the, like, what are you fucking? It's like one of those. Is he smarter than me? And no, he's just fucking dumb. He's the guy who put a dog up on the roof of the car.
Oh
in a
man,
kennel.
Remember that because somebody told me, somebody was accusing me of being a Romney supporter and said, "How dare you support Mitt Romney? I thought you were an animal lover or something." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" First of all, I was not a Romney supporter, so I was like, I fucking tore a new asshole over that.
I got a picture with a cardboard Mitt Romney, and I hope people don't construe that as I'm pro Romney. It was just at the
I
fair.
got a picture with a Trump impersonator,
Uh-huh.
and people thought it was real. Like, oh, you switch sides. What the fuck is
Yeah.
wrong with you people? Can't tell them.
I'm on the side that likes drama, and that's why yesterday was fun. Nobody got killed that I know of, because of it. It was just,
Yeah.
a small gathering of people and a pretty big audience. I sat I had the TV on. I was like, got up in the morning and I had a pile of weed and thinking, do I have enough weed for Trump's indictment day? And the answer was not really. But while he was still waiting to do the perp walk, I dashed off and got another 8 just to make sure.
Yeah. So they didn't put a gag order on him, so he's still gonna be shooting.
No, if they didn't, they will. And I mean, it'll play out. Here's what I think, and maybe it's because I just watched Waco. I think he's going to go down. He's going to keep shooting his mouth off. He's pretend president or whatever. He's going to get. There's going to be some shots fired, or somebody's going to be in danger because of him. He's going to get a thing. They're going to tell him he's got to, come to New York again, and he will refuse to go. DeSantos will be fucking, powerless to do anything, and it'll be a standoff. And I don't know how it'll end, but I think that's what'll happen is he'll eventually defy New York. Georgia's gonna come in, man, and he's an old crackpot, so he's like, at some point he's going to shit his pants at home.
That's true.
I'm not going. And he thinks somehow that's the Southern White House or whatever. And it is. I've looked at that place as from a fantasy standpoint. I am a member of Antifa. I will say that, but that's just because I had a Sharpie and a helmet and I wrote Antifa.
Sign up.
Yeah, it's easy. You just go, you get a helmet or whatever you want to wear and you just show up. And I can claim I was a general, and Antifa, we don't keep records in the battle.
So it's like the Gaddafi rule.
Yeah, like I was throwing tear gas, and instead of I opted out after about 40 minutes of back and forth and got some snacks and went to the coast, but my heart was there the whole time.
Trump is really quick to bring in your wife. Like everybody who is his enemy, he'll bring up that crazy judge and his ugly wife, and then Jack Smith and his crazy wife, and Alvin Bragg and his Trump.
Yeah. He's like a broken record of the same old shit. It's like when John Oliver does a montage of somebody saying the same thing over and over. It's like Trump. I mean, Trump's got about 30 hits, and now I think it's dwindled down to like, 8 or so. I saw Tony. I didn't go see Tony Bennett at, the last time I heard him. He was playing in town, and I went to hear him, and I was like, did he forget? It's like I was doing one of his main ones. I think San Francisco, and it's like, fuck, he dropped a whole chunk of that song. So that's where Trump's at now. He's the like Glenn Campbell doing the rhinestone cowboy, but only it's Hillary, Hunter Biden's goddamn laptop. Fuck, man, there's got to be some cool shit on that.
No, the Hunter's. The thing is, people are like, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody would cry a tear if Hunter Biden got arrested, but they act like, oh, well, you're going to take Trump away. We'll go after Trump. Nobody gives a fuck about Biden.
And the same people who are fucking spewing that off and they're righteously upset about Hunter Biden's thing because they're all stirred up because that's what they listen to and they got all stirred up on that shit. Fucking Jared Kushner, fucking billions of dollars from the South. Man, we're basically at war with Saudi Arabia, and that little fucking geek took billions of dollars to fucking turn us over. They got our oil. They're buying up water. Fucking Saudi Arabians are buying rivers in America. So it's like, we're going to be twisted by those motherfuckers way more than those hookers or whatever is on Hunter Biden's. I think he did some ass eating. I think he probably did some bumps off the back of a lady's ass and maybe did a bump and ate asshole. And I think as a country, as a person, an American, I'm willing to accept that.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it unless I'm into that. I mean, I'd probably glance at it and go, good for a Hunter. I don't know what kind of budget he was working with, but it was billions and billions less than fucking Jared Kushner's fucking sofa cushion money.
Yeah. Don Jr. He's a crackhead, cokehead, right? I mean,
how could you? I mean, the thing that's amazing about them is they must have at least one stooge around the house that looks up their nose before they get on their camera phones.
I can't.
Or they just do pills. I don't know. He's a guy. I mean, anybody who's been around somebody who, and I haven't been around him, but I would imagine he's not that douchey all the time. That's kind of like
I was thinking about going back to the 2015, 2016 films of him talking to CNN. He was cleaned up. He was talking. He was normal. As normal as a Trump can be. And compare that to the stuff he's putting on the internet with the slack jaw and the,
right. The one thing about that fucking cunty family, besides maybe Eric, is they've all grown up or been trained on some level to be in front of a camera. Right. They're probably more comfortable talking to a camera than they are each other. Yeah. And at least their beginnings. Now, fucking Don Jr. blow up videos. I don't know what his point is. His point is to look ridiculous, do a bunch of hand things, and it's like just from a delivery style. Almost nobody wants to hear what anybody who's overly coked up has to say. It might have a pretty good premise, but it's just like you're not in that rhythm. He's throwing fucking nothing but fastballs, and nobody in their right mind, I'll say. He's probably got a following of people who fucking dig it when a new video comes out, and they probably go scratch up some meth and put it on their bowl and smoke it, so they can kind of feel like they're fucking, if you at all admire Don Jr., I can't imagine what kind of shit stain you are.
No, what a terrible life.
The old man, I get it. The old man's had a power. It's like if Bob Hope, even though Bob Hope was, from what I understand, kind of a dick or whatever, but if Bob Hope had spun bad and tried to take the country with him using the military and all that shit, it's I guess. Well, I'm trying to think of a guy who appealed to an older audience that stayed.
Yeah.
I mean, they stuck with Bob, but they dragged him out as 90 some years old, 100 milky eyes and shit, and doing couple of
the Eyes Wide Shut stuff about Bob Hope is intriguing.
I know, I like it. He wasn't I was just listening to it's a pretty good podcast, Dana Carvey and oh shit, man, and the impressions guy that's fucking another man. I'm terrible with that shit.
David Spade, right?
Oh, David Spade, yeah, and yeah, but they're they were having I was listening to Jay Leno, but hearing those inside stories and stuff, and they were talking about Bob Hope, and he was not a comic. He was and everything was written for him. So he was right. Like, the comics that were around him, he wasn't, he was a different entity. He wasn't like, one of the guys or whatever. Right. But I guess he was, the public person. I love it when the public persona, is one thing, and then you can find out, like Cosby's is an extreme example or whatever. But finding out that guy was a real dick, but he was always liked, or
We kind of got into a little bit of me and Carl, I think it was, or maybe it was me and William, about Cosby, because Cosby wasn't really hiding it. Back when I was 5 or 6 years old, Cosby had a bit called Spanish Fly, and he was actually talking about that stuff like it was not. I don't think he was hiding it.
Is Robert Culp's not alive to defend himself, but that'd be an interesting guy to go, hey, Robert, did you, doing, yeah, that one I remember hearing as a kid. So basically, for whatever Dr. Huxley did to steer kids in the right direction, there were probably a handful of kids who were like, fuck, I got to get some Spanish Fly.
I definitely did. I remember hearing that as a 5 or 6 year, and I asked an older kid, "What is Spanish Fly?" And they said, "Well, it's a drug that if you give it to a woman, she'll have sex with you no matter what." I mean, right on the spot. It makes it. Oh, I'm a kid now. I'm thinking. I spent my whole teenage years looking through comic books saying, "Can you order Spanish Flies from Mexico?"
And it's like sea monkeys, it wasn't, if indeed there, and there probably was something, but if it was, I don't know, what would that be where they get like, I mean, I think it's something where they're almost on the verge of passing out.
Right. Yeah.
And they can't really defend themselves, kind of a thing. It's sort of in between roofied and Xanaxed or whatever, where you're just like, ugh.
And they used to sell the X-ray glasses to kids that you could see through stuff, and they would show you a thing of a guy looking through his hand, but in the back you'd see a woman in front of a mirror also. So they would kind of pitch in using X-ray glasses to kids.
The dude version of it, I guess, is cocaine. Oh, crazy Andy. Handsy. That bit. And then there was that one thing on the Cosby Show that I'm sure you saw, the barbecue sauce that makes women horny.
Oh,
it was a thing, and it was like the whole family was, it's like, he's like, don't you know my recipe, and don't you know what happens every time we have barbecue? I think that was kind of the premise of it. And then all the kids were getting amorous at the table because whatever Dr. Huxtable put in the barbecue sauce made people horny.
Oh,
and
my
10
God.
minutes later, they were passed out getting pounded by Theo.
Yeah, Bill definitely directed that one, or at least talked to the writers and gave them the idea. I got a great idea for this one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he wanted it, he wanted it on the surface to a degree. And it's like you hear stories about him. He was, I think Leno said he, there were staffers who wouldn't work when he worked because he would do shit, that wasn't rape. Right. But was equally creepy, or not equally creepy, maybe, but
make people watch him eat and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, here was one I just heard on that podcast I was talking about. Is he would put cookies out, and then he would come back and count them, and if anybody took them, he'd raise. It's like it's like these are my cookies. Or whatever was the deal. I think that was the gist of it. Like he'd do shit like that just so he could fucking have somebody to react at, and then possibly bully or whatever his fucking deal was.
Wow, that's pretty.
I hope he hits the road again.
No, this was how it came up, because William Conway said anybody who goes to that show or pays tickets to him, I can't be friends with them. I said, I think me and Carl are going to pay for tickets to go see Cosby. I mean, he doesn't. My money's not going to make a difference to him. He's got enough fucking money.
No, I mean, I didn't go, but I got tickets to Trump in Waco.
You did?
And I would have went if I was there, if I would have known how accessible it was or whatever, but I was there to have fun with my daughter, not to go heckle or, but I think it would be like, I would go to something like the Waco event because one, it's not as crowded as, they make it seem like it's crowded, but it's not.
Right.
And that one's got the historical value, and there's a chance that he would have gone full Hitler out there, but he, I don't think he did. But, fuck, I'd sit there and listen to Cosby, and then maybe somebody gets up and accuses him of being a fucking scumbag or whatever. And, just to see that interaction, it's like, oh, here we go. I mean, why would, I'd go watch damn near anything. And, it's not like I'm going to go see Bill Cosby and then walk away going, a lot of them bitches were lying.
Now, I've invited OJ on the show at least 5 times.
It seems like he's got you could have a segment where OJ just talks about other people's murders.
Yeah.
Like, and never say that, he's the reason he's an expert on it. He did he's been commenting on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know. We was talking about Trump the other day, right? Or telling him, man up or something.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think too. Me and OJ, I get it. I don't. I mean, we come from different
So,
experiences, but
are you a boomer or are you a Gen Xer? You're like right on the
I don't
cusp,
think I'm in either. 80. I was born in 65.
right?
That makes me kind of boomer out of the
You're
boomers.
like right on the cusp. You're like, yeah, yeah.
I should
Cause,
have been aborted. My
yeah,
family just didn't know. And I mean, it wasn't in their radar, but that's what I'd, if I were just like the family planner back then, I'd say,
yeah. I
nah.
don't think anybody planned these things when
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
I mean, I was the fifth Andrus boy. And there was no like, oh, maybe if my mom wanted to have a girl, she didn't. And then, and then I don't know. It just doesn't make sense if you look at my family or why they needed another one, or even really the last three. They could have cut. I mean, if you have a Larry, why do you keep going? So Larry has Larry. Well, Larry's going to need victims. Okay, well, we'll have a few others so Larry can have some fun.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're assuming this one might not make it, so maybe you have another one just in
Yeah,
case.
cover fire.
But
Speaking
the
of
reason I got into a little bit of a online,
kerfuffle,
yeah, with Billy Wayne
uh huh.
over because he's blaming the boomers for everything that's gone wrong with the world, and I was like, I understand like the generation fucked up, but every generation fucked up, and you can't. Because he said, "Oh, you all were in charge." I was like, "We weren't in charge. We were kids in in the '70s and '80s. Even in the '80s, we were still 20 or something. In our young 20s, we were not in charge of anything. We're
Well,
in charge now."
it seemed like that generation weren't they more of like a fuck the government and all we're we see what's wrong with the government and we're waving our middle finger to it instead of actually digging in and doing like how do we change the system from within, which didn't
Right.
occur to that generation for many years. Instead they were getting arrested and shit, which is all right, everything, but there just wasn't that wave of let's get involved in this shit and uproot this shit and get rid of some of the old school. And that's, I guess, what the criticism of the boomer would be.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's like we're all fucking people stuck in a system, and it's not like uh
that's my point. I mean, you can talk about uh, where things started to go wrong, and yeah, some fucking bad decisions but made. But at the end of the day, you and I and everybody else that's listening to this right now is really not powerful. We got one vote, and it's usually negated by the state you're in anyway. If
yeah,
I were a Republican voting in New York, my vote would mean nothing. If you're if you're a
right,
Republican in Oregon, you're probably you
yeah.
know
I don't necessarily, I voted for Bernie because Hill Dog, I I never liked Hill Dog, but she was the candidate, and I would have voted for her if I was in a state that it was a thing, because I don't know if the votes count or whatever. But if you show up in force, the people who want to make it, I mean, it's like there's one side who wants to make it difficult for everybody to vote. Why is that? Why can't we, why can't both sides just go, yeah, we'll win on what we have. Instead, there's one side who wants to make it a fucking obstacle course. If you're black, they want to make it a fucking marathon in front of an obstacle course. And like, what's going to happen in Florida when people who have no permit to carry a firearm, they don't need one. They don't even necessarily need to have a registered fucking firearm. They can just walk around with a firearm. What's going to happen that voting day in Florida where every other uncle motherfucker is going to have a firearm there to intimidate other people? And it'll be like, just fucking, why even go out, and vote? Because you're going to run into 500 Larrys packing sidearms or machine guns, and there's nothing who you going to call? The police? They're like, fuck, we don't want to deal with those fuckers.
yeah,
So
and they were arresting people for quiet, peaceful protest, sitting on on the street.
Right, and what they know and what they're learning. I mean, if they don't already know it, they've gone too far.
Yeah.
We want abortion. I mean, if most Americans are okay with something, or want it, then they should just fucking, have that, like abortion. We want to, every state that's outlawing abortion is just going to be fucking having horror story after horror story till eventually, those fucks are gone, because the Jesus heads aren't going to control shit much longer.
Yeah.
And they know it.
Yeah, and I'm. You know what? I'm like, every generation wants to blame the past generation. The way to escape the blame of generations is let the young people have control their own destiny. The world belongs to whatever it is now, Gen Z. Let them take
Uh-huh.
control of shit, so they can't blame us when they get to be my
Well,
age.
that's what I guess, like the 60s had to pave the way for people getting involved in politics that weren't corrupted, or, that wanted, so that it took the 60s to make that next wave happen or whatever. Yeah, I'd like to see Mitch McConnell just fucking head to the turf. All these, the ones who were involved, at the very least, get rid of the January 6th code of, the people who haven't been charged with anything but were involved in it. Get rid of all those fucks.
Yeah.
And give those fucking seats to the youngest possible, or qualified person or whatever.
I like Brett's idea about just getting, random. It's like a lottery, like a jury duty.
Like
type thing.
Seattle comedy competition used to. They'd have, you'd show up, and then there were supposed to be judges that were like, hey, that like involved in media in some way, like, okay, and then you get to the thing and they would scramble to find somebody to judge it. And so they just grab like an insurance salesman from that. That's what they should do. Like, man on the street, what do you think we should do about this? Well, that sounds pretty goddamn good. Do you want a job? Follow me here in Congress. Marjorie Greene's office.
And put them in the judges.
I mean, how could you do worse than Marjorie Greene? Lorraine Boebert, I could go to a strip club, or, find a escort, and I mean, I think her origin story, she was the escort, fucked Ted Cruz a few times, and he probably, I like your sassy mouth, you do pretty good in Congress. I got a fucking cunt mouth myself. And that's I think that her origin story.
It's history.
How could you do any worse than that? You could pull over a random car at a McDonald's drive-through and pull out somebody, and they would be equally smart and equally adept at doing their job, and which the job just seems to be siphon money. How do you get rich in Congress without scams? You can't. And Marjorie Greene's worth millions of dollars now for being a cunt. And I mean, I guess these media appearances, you get a little bit or whatever, but no way she cleared $2 million in some sort of talent-based contest.
Yeah. I get all that stuff is absolutely true. The guy got to get, the term limits, all that stuff, and it's all, because
what too is, I mean, this sounds bad, but fucking these guys are so smug and everything. It's like, whatever happened to the John Wilkes Booth types of the world, that the Lee Harveys, and who's the guy who does folk music now that tried to shoot Reagan. It's like, those guys were extremes, but it was a reminder that like, remember, did you see Trump? It was somewhere like in an airport hangar, and a pop went off, and just how he reacted, like George Bush when the shoe was thrown at him. I mean, at the very least, we should be able to, chuck a shoe at Marjorie Taylor Greene when she's out talking about Trump being prosecuted like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I would like to see just one fucking nail spike put into Trump.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
remember, you're probably old enough to remember when Reagan had the balloon pop, and he just everybody in the room thought it was a gunshot, but he just handled it coolly. Like, you missed me. That's he's reading a piece of paper, and he has the balloon pop, and he goes,
wasn't he still kind of waving when he got shot too? Okay, all right. Hey,
Oh yeah, no, he was.
big
That's
man
right.
over there.
It went right
Yeah.
in here. The bullet went right
Uh-huh.
in there. He was waving when he got shot. Yeah.
Breakfast with Bonzo sucked. Oh, okay, all right.
Well,
Well, he was yeah. He was my dad criticized Reagan heavily and for actually some of the shit that people still talk about that Reagan did wrong, all the deregulation of shit
that's
and,
what Billy was saying. But he was
getting
like
rid of
picking
mental health and shit.
on me and Craig. Like we voted for Reagan. First of all, Craig was probably 18 when Reagan ran or something like that. Anyway, we're not responsible. But you went out performing with Billy. I want to hear about this because I have not been able to
Oh,
listen to it.
I was just thinking Reagan was the first. Well, it was the first president I said I was going to go kill. Reagan, because Social Security. So my dad was handicapped, and my brother Jeff was a couple years in front of me, and he got money for college from this Social Security disabled veteran.
Oh, you're getting a phone call. You're getting a phone call. You just got muted because you're getting a text or a phone call or something. So while we're waiting for Andy, who who got muted somehow because of the phone call or whatever he got.
All right, no, it's this fucking. I got a loose cable or some shit, and I touch the microphone, and then I see this message, and anyway, that's what happened.
Yeah, so Reagan was cutting Social Security.
Yeah, so I lost. I had it. Made. I was going to go to community college, and I don't know. It was like 1,000 or something that would pay a month, something like that. I don't know what it was exactly, but I know that there was a stipend for handicapped kids. Their parents of whatever. I forget what I am, and that got eliminated. And I remember going, "I'm going to kill that motherfucker," and my mom goes, "No, you're not," and she was ultimately right. I didn't have. But now I wish I had, because then I would be a folk singer now, with couple of cool songs.
Carl loves Hinckley, but hasn't heard his songs. I like.
Yeah,
So you just like you're a Jodie Foster wannabe, but you turned it inside out to Jodie Foster's stalker. You're stalking.
I think Hinckley should do funny songs and get like Bob and Tom radio kind of songs.
Happy song. We give him all of Henry Phillips catalog.
Going on a shooting run, or I think he tries to probably ignore the but that honestly, the voice in your head that told you to shoot Reagan would also be the voice in your head that would help you write better songs.
That's a good point.
And from what I only listened to a couple of them, but it just seemed like I can find something more pleasing to my ear by going out and listening to the neighbor's leaf blower.
Right. Have you heard Manson stuff?
I know he wrote songs. I mean, kinda. I mean, I guess I've heard him imitated on the shows or whatever.
Yeah. And it's weird that people will say that he was, a talented artist. And of course, the serial killer or whatever he is, that lore that they attach to him, but they suck. Hinckley sucks. Manson sucks.
Didn't Manson he had that guy come out for an audition, and he tried to I think he gave everybody acid, and he couldn't keep it together. It's like, dude, he's coming out to hear you do a couple songs. Now you got all these fucking hippies on acid trying to harmonize, and it's I've had a bad audition or two, but that sounds like just you really fucking overthought this shit, man.
Yeah.
Do you think Manson was a more talented musician than Koresh?
I never heard any Koresh.
Koresh was a rock and roll guy. I mean, that was kind of one of his
never heard
hooks.
any of his music though. That's a good point. I gotta see if there's something online I could.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, just some of the like he played during the siege. They had a little power and they played, but I mean, it sounded all right. Maybe not hook. There wasn't a hook of anything I heard, but when you try to work too much Jesus and love into a song, it can kind of ruin it.
Yeah, well, this is my problem right now. Like and I'm sure you can relate. By the way, happy Pesach, Passover. If you celebrate.
Oh yeah, last night was a big Jehovah's Witness one. I don't know what it was. I got invited to it, and I didn't acknowledge.
What do they do?
They met at a
real party. They're not allowed to.
Well, they kind of met. I think it was like all of them met at one big place and had a whatever.
Yeah. So your
But
wife was not Jehovah when you got married, right?
no, hell no, no.
Because
That
I
would have
had a
been
similar situation. My
that.
wife,
I would have had to talk to her while she was at a cart or at the door. Uh,
yeah, my wife has
but no,
gone completely off the deep end of Christianity, born again Christianity, after we got married, and within the last 5 to 10 years, I think. But it's
hmm.
really, how do you deal? Because Jehovah's even more extreme than the born agains, and my
I
wife.
don't listen. We don't have a lot of conversations about anything other than I call it day to day.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did she have to hit rock bottom to? I mean, how
She
did
was
Jehovah's
she
come
was
to your door and
she,
get her?
exactly, yeah. They have like several things they look for, and one, people who open the door and they're at home on a weekday. There's usually they're not working.
Right.
She had health problems. Her mom just died, so they're like one, two,
Yeah.
check, and they
Vulnerable.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got more than one or two red flags or whatever they would call them, invites or whatever. Uh, uh, so that's what they look for.
I
So
think it's
you
checkered
know
flags.
that's what I was worried for when I was cancer, that I would get surrounded, and it would sound good to me. But no, I
So
kind of figured out my faith is the windsuit now.
did you see it happening though with your wife? Like
No,
notice? Oh,
no, I was gone, and I came home, and there was a knock on the door, and then it's like, oh, I assessed what it was, and not enter, closed the door, and then I heard my wife's name as the door was shutting, and then my wife come out, and she goes, "Who? What?" She's pissed off about my interaction with him, and then it was all I've always been kind of the outside. Well, I've been the outsider on that front
uh,
ever since, which is
uh,
cool. I mean, not
so
cool. It's a
yeah,
bummer. It's like a
it's
whole
weird when
different
you're not
person.
allowed to have fun anymore. You're
There
not
ain't no
allowed.
fun. There
You
ain't no
know.
fun. There's only preparation for the end times, and like
So
there was
the question
like we
for
run low
you,
on dog food the other day, and
yeah.
I didn't know we even had an emergency kit. She goes, I had to take a can out of the emergency kit. I was like, oh wow,
Oh yeah, my wife has become a hoarder, believe it, and not a
yeah,
hoarder, uh, but she ordered water now from
yeah.
Amazon.
We're
Get it, huh?
eating the dog. That's the. I mean, we're gonna eat the dog, so we don't need to worry about the dog eating. And as
That's
far
what
as water's a bit. Water's kind of a practical stockpile, but not.
not
Depends on
not
the
to the
degree of
level
it.
I have. I'm gonna need a water tower soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
You start filling
every
water
day,
jugs.
I get two of every kind of water that Amazon sells because you're only allowed to order
We
two.
got those too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we
It'll
get
be a
two.
nice thing when the apocalypse or whatever the 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 great evening or whatever happens, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. My wife, who was eaten by wolves months earlier, had all those fucking first aid kits and shit. We- she gets these boxes of shit and they just disappear or whatever. So I'm talking quietly because I feel like they're spies. Uh, uh, but okay, so 144,000 people, you know that, right?
Yeah,
Jehovah Witnesses, that's their heaven. The rest
right.
of them, they just stay here and try to figure out global warming and how to get rid of opioids and all that shit. Whatever they're left here, and they make it sound like that's going to be great, but is it? It's already here. So
Right.
are they gonna move to one place? How's that all gonna work out? But here's my plan, because these guys just make up the fucking rules. There's like old dudes sitting around, probably getting fucking catered lunches and blowjobs or whatever. But they sit around and they come up with fucking rules, or new fucking headlines for their stupid thing or whatever. Here's one: Heaven doubles the size, new capacity 288,000. Boom. You re-energize the fucking group that's thinking we're just going to be taking over Des Moines. How much heaven is that, or whatever? And then they're now all of a sudden they're going, fuck yeah, man, I might be part of that new wave. But as
Wow.
it stands, 144,000 people in history. So it's like there's no slots open now.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's been sold out for eons.
Uh-huh. So if I go out to New York, I'll go up and knock on their door and go, man, my wife's in this, but here's an idea to grow your thing. and I would like some money and a new wife,
Yeah.
one that's not involved in your religion.
Yeah, well, this becomes a problem. The whole religious stuff is definitely stifled, and it's weird. It's like
It's
so.
it's its own. I mean, it's like bringing up Trump, and some
Yeah,
people have their strong opinion. It's like I don't, it's like I don't want to hear about something that's very important for me to hear about, and that's the dynamic we go on throughout the day. And sometimes I hear rants that I'm not very smart or
yeah.
not
The
listening.
only conversations I have with my wife now lately are about the end times, and she is not a Trumper necessarily, but she does believe that he is the guy who's
Ham,
behind the Trump
ham.
administration.
Do you think he's the ham-fisted Antichrist, or I mean, does she think that? Uh,
Not Antichrist, but she thinks God is using him. She brings up some Bible verse about God
like
using.
what he did in Jerusalem or whatever. He built that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
So
redid the manger.
yeah, and you know what? I argue with enough people about that crazy stuff all the time. I don't want that at home. I want to be
Yeah,
able to turn that off.
yeah.
Um,
I don't. It's like the compare. I've heard a comic. I think it was Patton Oswalt, but maybe
well,
it's like you're arguing, one side or the other versus DC and Marvel. I
right,
wish they'd just make other movies. I wish they'd invent their own thing and they didn't have either of those to draw from. But if I had to choose one, I would go probably Marvel. But that's how I feel about religion. I don't really care.
right.
It's like which one had Batman? Oh wait, Batman's DC. Maybe I don't know. It's like in either way, Spider-Man is cool, and that's Marvel. My favorite hero as a kid, or comic book hero, really the only one I really gravitated towards was Luke Cage, Power Man, who his
Um,
backstory was he was a black guy incarcerated for whatever, and put in prison, and then they did experiments on some people, and he developed superpower, strength, and bulletproof skin, which all you have to do is watch the news once or twice and know that bulletproof skin on a black guy would be something that would raise society's hackles.
they always aim for the chin.
I guess bullets would sting him like bees. And he walked around in a silk outfit like a pimp and had a tiara.
I
Uh,
never heard of this guy.
yeah, in fact, he kind of, like Netflix or one of them did a series on him, and it didn't interest me. I don't get into that, nostalgia enough I watched it and it wasn't what I expected or whatever. So I didn't.
Were
But
you a fan of black exploitation films like that?
I like black people a lot. I mean, I just, they weren't around, but I would see them like when I'd see them, they were like on TV playing basketball or the fun, playing the drums on Happy Days or something for an episode or two. Uh, Roots, I was big into Roots.
Right.
I felt the plight of Kunta Kinte, although I think I gravitated more towards being a Chicken George, uh, Ben Vereen. But
Right.
I was into that. Like I would go ask when we'd go to Portland or something. I was a few times would go up and ask strangers, black guys, men, to for an autograph. As a stupid young, it's no wonder I got molested along the way that I would go up to strangers and ask for autographs. but
uh,
yeah, if anything, I was
what
uh,
else? The
not
Black
racist, but
Tornado was the movie. The Black Tornado. I forget the guy's name in it, but you got to look it up on YouTube. It's a trailer for a black exploitation movie.
yeah. I
It's
didn't really see those, I guess, but I mean, Good Times was my favorite show. Uh, yeah, I just kind of gravitated towards black TV stuff. I wouldn't even say black culture.
yeah.
Uh, we had a traveling group of gospel singers, and I was a young boy, and I was cute to the black women in this choir. And they, so I was smitten with them, hanging out with them. There's pictures of me, like drooling on them as a youngster.
Oh yeah. So are you back performing now? 'Cause you did
Okay,
once.
so yeah, you brought that up. I did perform with Billy Wayne, and we were talking about booking a short run. And to me, that's kind of what I need to do, because there's this other show I'm going to do in LA. I mean, if I talk about it, it'll jinx it, but or not even jinx it. It's part of the Paul Provenza thing. I suggested that, okay, so he has the movie, it ends where Paul has the movie end, and then we do the credits or cut, fade to black, and then do a green room that we tape in Paul's backyard, which he has a setup, and have me, maybe Henry Phillips is a possibility, Annie Letterman and Doug Stanhope sitting with Paul, do a green room where we're talking about that subject matter, that the movie 10 years later, and that's how we end it, with some laughs at the end of it. So I think that's going to happen. It'll probably happen in May or June. I'm going to try to track down Stanhope's availability on that. So anyway, I'm going to do these short run shows with Billy, hopefully in the Southwest, entailing Bisbee in some capacity, maybe Tucson, Santa Fe, maybe Albuquerque. I don't know. Southwest, we're talking. We got to go see Craig there in Albuquerque, maybe. But that's so then I'll be doing, I won't be responsible for the show failing. Billy will. And I can just do short. I'm kind of, I don't have any material really from before. And now I don't want to just
listen. I went Friday night. I saw Erica Rhodes, but the host and the feature had no material at all. They just did crowd work. That's all they did.
Yeah, and I kind of relied on a little of that, but I mean, mainly it's like, okay, yeah, I want to get back out and do that. It's like, and then it's like, I'm going to do it incrementally, so I don't, just like all of a sudden, I'm doing an hour and I don't feel like Rhodes is great though, isn't she? I've just seen clips, but she seems like, why isn't she already being, the middle of it?
She's I almost clipped something to show today, because I was watching Sad Lemon again last night, because I'm obsessed with her now. But there is a 63-second piece where she's just holding the microphone, listening to people laugh. And I said, it takes mastery to do that, because almost every other comedian would be stepping on that laugh, or just,
she's kind of a little bit like Hedberg, where she isn't her materials pretty accessible to everybody? Like Hedberg didn't do anything that you could say was edgy or dark, and it feels like she's somebody who can find comedy in the light
stuff, though, especially when it comes to stuff about her dad who had MS and died and all that stuff.
Oh, right, yeah, I heard that one about the wheelchair, right? Yeah. So yeah. But she's so likable. I'd say that. I mean,
oh my God.
And it's cool that hopefully she does have some. If she's got weirdness in her past, hopefully she can bring that to the comedy stage.
Yeah. So, but on this, because she was the one, when I had her on the program, we talked about crowd work and how she's not a big fan of it. And so I saw 18 comics in the month of March.
Wow.
And I would say 12 of them relied really heavily on crowd work. Like, they're not even, nobody's writing stuff anymore. They're just going up and saying, "Oh, where you from, man? Oh, you two married? How long you been together?" I mean,
yeah. I never really, it's usually like when I do crowd work, it's like, what's the problem over there? And then, it's like, all right, let's go. Or
who's holding?
Yeah. I remember this one dude, this was, it was when McCain was running for president, and it was a big Indian casino. And I think that's the proper way to say that, instead of slight against the spirits or the people. But anyway, this dude was standing stage.
Let me just stop you there. They're black people calling themselves Indians. So
right, or white guy. I mean, I didn't know how many Indians I went to high school with until the casino came in, and I'm 12% Indian. But anyway, this dude, I was talking about how John McCain well, John McCain called his wife a cunt or something like that. I forget, but she said something about his hair, and he goes, "Ah, shut up, you fucking cunt." And then I was saying that as a pro McCain statement of how I can't imagine Obama getting away with that. Anyway, that's what it was. It wasn't that deep political, I was just saying that makes McCain more presidential, that he called his wife a cunt and she just let it go and let it drop. Whereas, Michelle would have said, "Oh, hell no," or whatever.
Yeah.
Something, anyway, that's what it was. But this guy got up and he was real shaky and standing on the side of the stage, and he goes, "John McCain." I go, "Was there a problem, sir?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "John McCain's a great American." And I go, "Oh, what's the problem?" I agree, but then this guy just wouldn't, he was mad at me for mentioning McCain and didn't listen to that it was pro McCain it was a joke. Anyway, this guy wanted to fucking, and I asked, there was a security guy standing right there, and I go, "Do you have a taser?" And he said, "No." And then I process that. This is my version of crowd work. I process that. And then I talked this guy down from coming up on stage and go, "Man, I know, I agree," or whatever, let's all vote for McCain. However, I did it. But if the security guy would have said he had a taser, I think I would have just let it play out.
Yeah.
I wanted to see. But that's, I feel like crowd work for me is just that, though,
Yeah.
But people will talk to you, and sometimes you just have to go, "What the fuck," or whatever.
Well, that's the problem. See, and I think this is absolutely true. If you do crowd work, you wonder why you get hecklers. The reason hecklers exist are because comedians do crowd work, because you put it in the minds of the audience that they're allowed to participate.
Yeah.
And once you put that in their mind, now they think they're funny and they can help the comedian. I got a tagline.
And there's not in most cases, I'll use Todd Snyder as an example. He will listen to the crowd will shout out stuff, and he's allowed it to go or whatever, and he incorporates it. But some nights you can tell it bothers him, and he doesn't want to be interrupted. But it's like in comedy is like that, where you're always sort of half expecting to be interrupted. It's not
Right.
it's not like singers when they're in the middle of a song are thinking in the back of their mind, "I hope this verse doesn't upset somebody and they don't come at me." But that's what comedy is you're constantly vulnerable to an attack. And I wish they would, I wish it was a thing where people just shut the fuck up. And if they didn't like what you were doing, they sat quietly and found a chance to leave subtly. That's not the, I think a lot of people go to comedy to see the chaos of it too. So
A little bit awkward when they don't leave suddenly, like right in front of the comedian. This happened Friday night. The feature guy, right in front of him, four ladies, like right in front of him, stood up right in the middle of his thing, and just like they were visibly not happy and leaving.
yeah, that's what I experience a lot of. Like when I did the Velveeta Room in Austin, they have I think it's called Dolly's Follies, is a shared business space. So they have this like murder dinner theater or whatever the fuck it is next door. And it sometimes pours out into the street, it's this live thing or whatever. But when the one show ends, when Dolly's Follies ends, and then I'm doing my second show, Velveeta Room, to about 8 people that showed up. And then they tell people coming in from Dolly's Follies, "Oh, you want to keep your evening going? You just heard, Dolly's Follies. Now hear Andy Fuckface," or whatever. And they'd seat like 6 people or 8 people, 2 tables of old women. And then they would get up and leave. And then it was replaced by 2 tables of old cowboys. It was like, what the fuck? I felt like the whole show was some sort of a Truman Show where somehow this whole thing was set up just to fuck with me. But that's how a lot of the, small comedy rooms or rooms where, it's like comedy's not really that popular or whatever. It works when it works in a comedy room, when it's the right setting, a small, it doesn't have to be big, but it's just set up and people are listening. That's, how it works. But, most of it is set up for failure.
Yes.
Which you won't want to hear this, but Rogan's Club is beautiful and whatever it's labeled or whatever, it's a great space for comedians to do their art, and it's set up for comedy. It's like, I think it used to be an old theater. So there's two theaters, and they're just, the rooms are beautiful. You just sit there and go, man, I would fucking, I mean, I did the shows with Billy, and that was in a small space, but I was tempted to try to get on a show on the Sunday night. It's that cool of a space, but
yeah, I'm not a Rogan hater. I don't hate Rogan. I actually, I'm not a fan of his comedy, but I really, really want his club to succeed. I think it's good for
oh man,
comedy.
yeah. Well, I mean, this guy Keith Ray, I know he's a fan of mine. Him and his mom he says a hillbilly, can't remember shit, but says, play that guy who talks shit about the fat women at Walmart. So he was listening to me, with his mom years ago. But he's one of those guys who's moved there. He's just a perfect fit for, I don't know. He's working there as a, set up like the Comedy Store. So door guys, and then they do spots and stuff. But, it's like, man, I was like jealous of the opportunity that, he has. Cause it's like, every night you get to do maybe a couple of shows in front of packed crowds and grow your art in 10-minute increments instead of, having to go up and do an hour for people who aren't really listening,
I like that. The Stand in New York City has a pretty good format. 5 comics in a night. They each do 20 minutes. It's for the audience. It feels like it moves really fast, and you get to see comedians doing stuff that they don't normally do in their hour show. They're trying new stuff, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of fun for me. I appreciate that a lot. Supposed
Yeah.
to be nice, but I'm not.
I've never really, I mean, I did comedy contests where you kind of have to jump in and do the short sets or whatever, but I never really mastered how to do, just 10-minute sets all the time or whatever. Not that you do the same 10 minutes over and over, but just to craft 10 minutes, get it tight, and make that its own thing, a standalone. It's definitely the way to do it. I came from the Northwest where you get 10 minutes of comedy and then you start doing half hours and driving, and shit. It's more about being a driver,
Right.
driving a car and being able to get to the place.
Yeah. So we're over the hour, and we got to cut it short pretty soon. But I wanted to briefly, because one of the I've been really good about not getting in arguments on fucking social media. But yesterday I got into 2. One was lighthearted with Billy, but then the second one was about the Kid Rock thing.
Uh-huh.
And people started, one guy who I know, but I'm not friends with, and now people assume I'm friends with him. He's a total anti-trans guy, just gay, just like really full of. And I said to him, "You're probably closet gay." He's worried about indoctrination,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
said, "Indoctrination can't work." I have somebody who I've talked to, meaning you, several times, who somebody tried to indoctrinate him, and it worked hard at indoctrinating him. You can't make somebody gay if they're not gay. Was my position on this,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it got like a ton of hate. A couple of
I don't need. Yeah, it's crazy to me, the like the trans to me. I kind of it's like I've grown, learned, or whatever. Like in the beginning, dudes in wigs, haha, it's funny.
Yeah,
But it's like now that it's all vilified and shit, and it's like in plain sight, it's like what difference does it make? And are you following kids to their church and making sure they're not being groomed there?
That's what I said.
It's like
basically, if you don't care about kids, and I put this out to one guy, I said, "You don't care about kids. Prove me wrong. Go to your Catholic church right now and talk to your priest about it, and film it, and come back and put it on Facebook." And
it's just silly. I mean, but it's it's obvious when you see that sort of thing and you kind of get the big picture. It's just one of those wedge issues that they can get stupid people stirred up with, a hate issue. They do, the Mexicans coming over the border. This is just a new one that Christians can kind of get behind and go, well, they want to normalize this, bosom buddies, ring a bell. Did
I mean,
that?
that's what I
Were
would
there a
do.
lot more people dressing up like women after bosom buddies? Probably.
Even
Did they?
before,
You
but I
know?
mean, the guy last night who was my age, and I said to him, because he was talking about kids being exposed to this. I said, "Here's who you were exposed to as a kid: Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, Flip Wilson, Milton Berle, Dustin Hoffman dressed as Tootsie, Robin Williams dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, and I went
Yeah.
down this whole. I said, which one made you gay? None of them. If you tell me you're not gay, then you know that
The only
indoctrination
people
isn't
who would
possible.
legitimately go, I mean, if you got tricked, like, man, I thought me and this woman were going to make love, and then she pulls out this big dick and fucks, and and then that's on you. You fooled. But if you get, you can still say, no, I don't want to be fucked by that person or
Right.
whatever. But that's the only time I think it should matter to a person is if you're smitten with said person, and they don't let you know that, hey, I know you're looking at me thinking I'm a woman, but I'm actually transitioning to be a woman. I still, whatever. That
That's
maybe matters to that one person, but the rest of us, it's just fucking, it doesn't matter.
there's a couple of stories
I've
about that.
gone, I've run into plenty of people transitioning, and like some of them work at Walgreens, and I find them equally annoying as if they were whatever,
Yeah.
or I don't care. It's like, oh man, I'm walking out of Walgreens without my fucking deodorant because this chick has a mustache. They just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And if
No.
you do, you should fucking probably, find a subtle way to kill yourself with drink or drugs because you're unhappy and this with the world the way it is, and it's just going to continue. So maybe you're the problem.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is why your movie is really. I know you're not living to change the world and all this stuff, but your movie is important to kind of use to kind of quell this idea of indoctrination, like because this fear that you can be made gay. First of all, if you're afraid you can be made gay, you probably already are,
Hmm.
because there's at least some latent homosexuality going on in that fear that I could somebody could convince me to suck a dick and I might like it. Hello,
If you put a
but
little
that's what they
chocolate on
want
it or
to
something.
weaponize indoctrination. Like we can
Hmm.
make you gay.
I remember being afraid of gay because of church. Because church, like they would bring up those kind of things. It was kind of a really lazy evangelical kind of, I think they talked about end times a lot for being in the fucking 70s. It's like, relax. I know for a fact we got at least 30.
No matter how many times they get the end times wrong, all they have to do is shift the date back. Oh, we meant May, not March.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the beginning of the end. Did I say that was the end? That's just the beginning of the end. Yeah, no, I've been thinking. I mean, I've been hearing about end times since I was old enough to remember hearing shit. So,
Christina Ledvig says, "Can you make me gay, please?" Yes, I can. One night with me, and you will be a guaranteed lesbian.
boy, yeah. Have you ever tried? I mean,
Yeah,
les or women, gay women, uh, porn is my favorite. I mean, I don't even consider some of it porn. It's just, it's like art.
yeah, yeah.
And to me, I don't understand why a woman would want to even bring a man into anything that had sex involved with it. Even
Yeah,
though
that definitely
I
resonates.
benefited from it, but I don't understand, the need for it.
Yeah, I get it too, and you know what? So yeah, I would say to
I would
women,
say, Christine, start ordering some Uber Eats and ask for women drivers.
is that the latest porn?
Well, I mean, I'm envisioning a scenario, Oh, so is that your snake? Yeah, you want to pet it? Come on
They're
in.
just writing porn scripts now live on this.
Yeah.
This should be the Twitch stream, a live Twitch stream for writing porn scripts, like a
Uh
would
huh.
be.
Yeah,
Um,
Dear Penthouse Forum is that was like my early reader. I would find Penthouse magazines and go to the forum. Those were always great.
so and issues with Andy, you're back on a regular schedule now.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. We missed a couple here and there, but I think we're back at it. We'll be recording tomorrow. I was kind of stirred up about Tuesday, but nothing really happened on Tuesday.
Yeah, nothing really. I knew nothing was going to happen.
It was funny. It's fun. And I really enjoy watch that video of the guy on the bike get knocked down again. He gets the guy. There's a guy at the beginning of the 12-second video or whatever it is that you can see who's skateboarding by, and he's smiling. And then if you watch the video, the guy's bike hits the skateboard. So that guy in the corner rolls his skate. He sees it and he's smiling. He smiles in anticipation of what he's going to do. And then you see a skateboard, and that guy's bike hits the skateboard and he falls off. It's beautiful. It's like the Fruiter. God damn it, I can never say that. It's a Fruiter film, not the Fruiters.
The Pruder. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one. That I didn't know it was a setup. I'm gonna have to go find.
Yeah,
it.
watch the hipster smiling on the skateboard. It's hilarious when you see how it happened. It's funny he fell off the bike, but it's even funnier that the guy on the skateboard in front of him saw the opportunity, stepped off the skateboard and rolled it in front of his bike. It's funny. It's like the marbles in Animal House.
Yeah, pretty good. Fuck you, QAnon bicycle boy.
Yeah,
you don't see the part now. What happened to QAnon guy or the guy who fell off the bike? Went chased after him. Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I didn't see how it ended, but I assume they just ran off laughing at him. But he, I think he was running backwards, so the guy who did the skateboard, I think, would have still been in front of him. I don't think he knew what happened. That's the funny part.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my news.
Appreciate you getting up early and being with me today. We'll get back on track with the issues with Andy stuff. Been really busy, but I haven't been following you guys for about a month now, and I'm way behind.
Yeah, you missed the big announcement.
Big announcement.
We're all gay, and we drink Bud Light.
All right.
We in dresses.
Bud Light, I could see not liking Bud Light just on the.
No, I mean, honestly, if I had that beer that Kid Rock shot up, it would just sit in my garage for a long time before I found, somebody to drink it. But be mad about it, man.
Brett Husky Boyo would definitely. Brett Brock would drink it. He would definitely drink that beer.
I think Brett Brock should just start drawing the most gay pictures of Kid Rock. Kid Rock shooting dildos out his ass or whatever with Nugent, just like queer up those, draw a different preacher up to be gay as possible every day. I'm sorry, Brett. I don't want to monopolize your time, but drawing up a fucking super gay Kid Rock would be funny.
Definitely.
Kid Rock. I mean, look, he had a midget that was around and then it died. And everybody knows if you take care of a midget, they'll live forever.
That's a perfect place to end this one. Have a great day.
All right, you too, man.
And don't go out after sundown because it's Pesach.
Yeah, vote Trump green.
See you later. Bye for now. And the edges, folks. That's a good way to start your Pesach. I keep watching this fucking QAnon dude on a bike flip over now. I gotta run. I got things to do, places to go, people to see, stuff to shoot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the program. Tomorrow, Jackie Martling is back with me. Jackie's got some big announcement and some local shows or something. And his ex-wife Nancy has got some musical thing that she wants to let us know about, and she will probably be on the show soon. So join us for that. I do have a show tonight. Don't ask me what it's about. I don't remember. I'm supposed to go to the Stand tonight, but then turned out somebody I don't want to see got added to the bill. So I'm not going to the Stand tonight. So I do have a show tonight. So if you want to join me for that regular crazy people talk, probably, or life coach talk, or some kind of self-help bullshit, or I'm really promoting this good way, or conspiracy theories and nut jobs. You know what I do at night. Otherwise, join me for Jackie tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. I'm looking for my turn on your radio bit. I'm always a little slow on this. Don't forget to turn on your radio.
listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.